everybody, and welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. I'm Julia, and I'm glad you're here with me today. I was taking a break from packing and thinking about just a little quick project that we could do today, and I came across some scraps. Of course, we've looked at this paper before this year, and this is kind of the little mishmash that I had left on it, but I got to thinking about some Christmas tags, because normally for my Adopt-A-Class contribution, I try to make a few little gift tags for the teacher. And we've all got these little tiny stamps, Happy Holidays, sending a little wish for a lot of joy. These kind of little stamps in your stamp collection that you don't use often and don't really know what to do with. They're not really big enough to make a big impact, but for tags, they are just fabulous. Let me show you some of the ones that I've gotten started here. And you can do just a simple little tag like this with, let me move some of this out of the way. A simple little tag like that, and that used this little punch on the little snowman paper, and this little punch on the holly paper, and then a little small sentiment and a little tiny bow. They're easy and quick to make, and you're using up some scraps, so yay. Now, here's another tiny one. If you have a small package, this one works really, really well just for something like that. You can put a little to from in there, or you can just hand write a little note. And I hand folded some corrugated paper there, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. We're going to come back and look at this one again in a minute. This was a piece of Happy Mail that I got that I've been saving. She's just adorable, and I couldn't figure out what to do with her, so I made a little gift tag out of it. And on the back of these tags, I've put some double-sided tape for the teacher to use, so she can just stick them on. This is another little piece of artwork that came with that other piece, and all I did was glue it on and size the tag to the little piece of artwork and added a little tiny bow and used that piece up. Here's another one. This was a little piece of Happy Mail. This was a scrap. Here's those little tags. You can write a little note there. I've got a tiny, tiny little bow. I'll show you how to tie that. And I used a punch. This one right here from Stampin' Up, and the little center punch there for the string. So there's another way to look at. And then I had these little 2x2 pieces, and I thought, well, I'll do a little piece of inlay. I started by doing round inlays, where I just cut a round circle out, and this was double-sided paper, so this is the back side of that paper. And then I had a little tag that I cut out in another circular shape, added a little bow, and I've got a little piece of this crinkled up ribbon paper on the inside and some soup-wang on the back. Here's another one that all I did was to decal trim this piece of leftover ephemera that came out of a paper pack, and this was part of it, but it was sitting there not being used, just waiting to be packed, and I thought, I'm just going to make some tags out of that. Here's another one, same concept. This little inlay is just the opposite side of this. I punched it with my my circle punch, flipped it over, glued it down flat. This is up on some foam, and it has a little tiny, tiny bow. And same concept here. These are 2 1/8 by 2 1/8, and these little square pieces are 2 by 2, and it worked very, very well. And that was what the cut-aparts in that paper was. Now, this one is the inlay in a little different shape, and it's this little punch, and I punched it out of this paper and that paper because this is single-sided paper has a white side on the back. So I just did two and made two little different tags, and then this piece here came out of a little piece of scrap. So there we go. And then this is the final one. Now this was just a little small piece of ephemera scrap that was left, and I used a little smaller, I think this is a 3/4 inch circle inside of this 1 3/4 inch circle, and it made a little kind of flowery wreath. And there we go. So now, if you have a piece like this and you don't have a small package, you want to put it on a bigger package, then I've made another little tag out of some more scrap. I was having fun with these. And see how nice that will look right there. And then you have another big tag to hang, and we can put a little slot in that, and it'll all work out. Let's glue that down. And I'm using my art glitter glue today because I want it to grab fairly quickly. As I was doing these examples, I didn't want to waste a lot of time with it to dry and then have it slip on me. So I just used my art glitter glue, and it grabs in just a matter of a few seconds. And then I've got a little Merry Christmas stamped here, and I took my red chisel tip marker and put an edge around the outside so that it would show up just a little bit more. And I'm going to slap that in there on an angle. I used a couple of my little snowflakes to go on this, and I trimmed the outside of it in a little color that kind of coordinated with that paper. So that uses up several scraps of paper. And then you can take your center punch for the tag hole and some red and white twine. Red and white wouldn't go with that paper, but if you put enough of it on it, nobody objects, and it works just fine. I like to take my little folded in half loop and push it from the front to the back, and then pull up through that, and that brings your little loop over to the front, you see. And then I'll just tie a little knot here, and it'll be ready to go. But if we want to put a little tiny, tiny, tiny bow on, this is my 10-second bow maker. I've told you about those before. They're wonderful. I've used this thing for years. And to make a little small bow like this, there's no way, with my fingers the way they are, that I could possibly do it without this little bow maker. I'll leave a link down below to this. I've left it several times, but it's such a nice little tool to have. And the craftsmanship on this particular brand, the 10-second bow maker, is it's really, really nice. So then I'm going to take a little dot, glue dot. Oh, and several of you have asked about this little glue dot dispenser. I got this maybe 6 years ago. They used to be available. They're not available anymore. I've looked and looked, and they're all out of stock or no longer available. If I ever see them again, believe me, I will put a link down for y'all. So I'm just going to put that right up in here. I'm going to spread these little guys right there. And there's our little bow that finishes out that tag. Just a bunch of scraps. That's all it is. Isn't that cute? Okay, let's see what else we got. I've got another one here. And it starts with this little piece right here. And I've used my decal trimmer and just cut an edge around the outside of that scrap. And I'm just going to glue it down and leave an equal border on two sides and not worry about the other end. So here and here. And then I have a little green strip here with a torn edge on both sides. I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to come right across the middle there. The nice thing about tags, you can do whatever you want to with them. And this little piece here was left over in paper. And I put a little decal edge around the outside of that one as well. I'm going to glue that down over here on this edge with the same border here and here as I have up there. And that just pulls your card, your little tag proportionally together. And then I'm going to put my little Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas that I cut out with that little tiny square punch from Stampin' Up. It's been around forever. I suppose if you want it now, you got to get it used. I'm going to elevate that up just a little bit on a little tiny piece of foam. And pull these three little elements together underneath that. And then I've got some of this little corrugated that I made. And let me show you right quick how I did that. I used my scoreboard. And I just pick a little piece of trim. And I'm just going to very gently run my scoring tool every 1/8 of an inch. And put a little tiny score in there. The reason I do that is because to hand fold this, it kind of hurts my thumb joints. I have arthritis in my thumbs, and you'd be surprised at what hurts your hands when you get arthritis in your thumb joints. I know several of you all have mentioned to me that you have arthritis as well. But you see, I just put a little score on there, and then I start down and mountain valley, and just kind of push it together a little bit that way and walk it back and forth on that little score line, right like that, and just keep folding. And it can be a little tedious if you start with a longer piece like this, but you can use a smaller scrap and it goes by much quicker. Hang on a minute, I'm almost done. See, my fingers just don't work well. Okay, alright, now we're done. And then what I do is I scrunch it all up and make those folds good and tight. And if I want it to be a little thinner piece, I'll just take my scissors and cut it in half. And there it is. Okay, so let's use one of them on here, because I think it'd be cute. And I'm just going to put a little piece right here, and I'm going to use my art glitter glue, and I'm going to put a nice thick trail of glue right there. And just bring my little corrugated in, stick it up underneath that little sentiment there, and glue it down. And then maybe I'll put another little piece up here, just as a continuation of that little red line there, out to here. And you just have to hold it long enough for your glue to grab hold. And then you're done. There you are. Now on this one, I'm just going to flip it over and mark my center. And punch a little round hole with my little crocodile. And I believe I'm going to do the smaller hole because I'm going to use that twine again. And do pretty much the same thing. Push it, the loop through, and then pull it like that, and we're good to go. And you can stamp on the back to from if you want to, or just leave it blank, right like that, and have a little nice little hanging tag. And I'm thinking I might want to put a little snowman on that as a little cutout down here in the corner. Right like that. And I think what I'll do is to color his little top hat with a little gray ink. And give him a little scarf, maybe in green. There. And there he is, just cute as it can be. So there's another tag. Let's see what else we got here. I've got all kinds of little stuff to add to the top. And I think this is where you have to start, sort of, is just get your little stamps out and get your little punches out and punch yourself some little things to have, and then just don't worry too much about it and build your little card around what you got. So let me do one more here. I'll be through with that little piece. Now let's see what we have in this pile of stuff that we can use up. This piece, let's see how big that is. That is 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. I think that is a card layer size. Let's see. 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. So this is actually a card layer size that I could make a card out of. I think I'll set that to the side and make it after a while. Let me see what else we've got here. Oh, we've got some square panels here. Let's use those. I've got some quarter panels over here out of my cardstock that I use, and they're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to put a score right down the middle of that at 2 1/8. Where did my little thing go? Well, oh, there it is. If it was a snake, it would have bit me. Okay. So 2 1/8, and then I'm going to put this on my cutting board, which is also eluding me. I've been losing things like crazy lately. So this is 4 1/4, and I've got it scored at 2 1/8, and now I'm going to cut it at 2 1/8 twice, and we'll use those little 2-inch pieces and make some little small tags. Let's see. I've got my circle punch, and I need a little small piece to push with. So I'm going to use my ATG and give myself just a tiny little bit of adhesive. It doesn't take much at all. And I usually kind of tap it down just a little bit where it's not so sticky. And then I'm going to slip this, well, it needs to be stickier than that. Okay, now I'm going to stick this in and then kind of check it and see how it looks. I'm going to check it and see how it looks so that it's kind of squared up in that. It needs to come this way just a little bit. There. And punch. Oh, and see, this is what happens sometimes. That's okay. We're going to punch the other one a little bit better. and that's all right. Hang on. I didn't check all 4 sides, and that's my fault. There. And I think that'll be better. Yeah, there we are. So now I'm going to glue this one down, and this little side over here is not quite as thick as the rest of them, and that's okay. Because it won't be noticed on this little tag card that we're going to make here. There we go. And then I'm going to put my little music notes right in the middle and build my little tag that way with this little circular inlay. And that way, see, it's all smooth. There's not first and second layer. I'm going to throw this out. Then I could put a little piece of torn snowflake on the diagonal, like that. Let's glue that down. See what else we can get going here. These don't have to be complicated. And it's a fun way for y'all to use up your little scraps. There we go. Trim that off. And maybe put a little Happy Holidays in there. There we go. I'm going to elevate this up on a little tiny piece of tape. Foam tape. I had this little tiny roll of foam tape, which I have about 3/4 of an inch left on. Thought I'd get that used up. Happy Holidays. And there we are. And now, let's tie us a little bow. When you're tying these, you cross them over and then take your little short tail and push it through. Bring that right smack dab over again, and then make like a little 4 and push it back up through the 4 hole. And that's all it takes. Very, very, very easy to do. And we'll shorten up those tails and maybe put it down like that. And there we have another little tag all ready to roll. I want to use my little tiny glue dot for this, just because I've got them easy handy right here. You could just as well put them on with art glitter glue. And then I'll put a little Suquang tape, double-sided tape on the back of that. Let's see what else we got. Well, I've got this circle now, and I've got some green and tan paper here. I could maybe do something like that. Let's see. Let's see what we come up with. I'm going to cut these to 2 inches, and I'm going to glue it to the front of our little tiny tag. That's 2 1/8 inches square, so it's going to have a little tiny white border. There we go. And then I could do a little torn edge right up the middle of that. And use up that little scrap. And trim it off. And then put my little circle in there. Maybe not, maybe not. let's have this one. Oh, Happy Holidays. Maybe that one will work. Yeah, that'll work just fine. Another little piece of foam. And how about a little Santa Claus or maybe a little snowflake? Let's try. We've got 2 little snowflakes there. Let's try that and see how we like it. Little red gems here and see how that looks. I bet that'll just tie it all together. What do you think? And there you go, cute little tag. And I'll put some suquang on the back of that. So y'all kind of get the idea. Let me pull the tags in. So here they all are. And I think they'll make a nice little teacher's gift for our adopt a class. And I hope y'all have had a good day, and I'll talk to you again soon. We're making another trip to Georgia this week and unloading some things and doing some cleaning and some painting, so we'll have a busy week. I'm not sure we'll have a video next week, but we'll just kind of have to play it by ear. But I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.